My name is Jason Schuster. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. Before that, I was a fly fishing guide in Patagonia, Chile for a decade. Now I own a continuing education company teaching other doctors how to do a couple things, including dry needling. This is a part of my online dry needling class, Online Dry Needling 1, Dry Needling in the Autonomic Nervous System. This is about how to specifically target the autonomic nervous system with dry needling. This is a great course, you guys. You can check it out on our website, intricateartseminars.com. Trigeminal nerve stimulation and autonomic nervous system homeostasis. So just like with vagus nerve stimulation, trigeminal nerve stimulation is a really, really awesome treatment to improve the overall amount of autonomic nervous system homeostasis that you're inducing with your patients when you needle. They've looked at some studies doing the surgical vagus nerve stimulation where they make a little incision, they put a couple of wires around your actual vagus nerve, and there's like a little Bluetooth stimulator in there, and the patients go in however often, couple of months or whatever, and they get their vagus nerve stimulated. And what a lot of the research says when you listen to the actual doctors that are doing this, you guys, is like what we spoke about with electricity. I like low frequency electricity. I like 1 hertz. However, I'm totally open to other frequencies, and what a lot of the medical doctors and osteopaths that are doing this stuff is that they're just running through a bunch of different frequencies in the office and keeping it on the one that the patients like the best. So they'll just say, hey, let me know what feels the best to you. And that is a perfectly awesome way to think about medicine. That's a way better way to think about performing medicine than just saying, this is what works. Because that is never true for 100% of people. It's much, much more accurate to think about it in the way that this more or less works for the majority of people, but let's see what you as an individual or what your body and brain are telling me about what frequency that would be best for you theoretically. So there's lots of cool stuff to figure out like that. One of the things that people will talk about, you guys, with the surgical vagus nerve is that sometimes when people go in and they get their actual vagus nerve stimulated, like around the axon of the vagus nerve, it's too much of a parasympathetic stimulus, and it's making people pass out every once in a while on the surgical one. So what they started looking at was, okay, well, let's target some of the other parasympathetic nerves and see if that has a similar effect that's not as extreme, that may not change the nervous system so quickly that it causes a vasovagal response. So remember, you guys, vasovagal response is an overreaction of the autonomic nervous system to the sympathetics going up too much too fast, and the baroreceptors, the blood pressure goes up, the baroreceptors in the carotids and elsewhere pick up on the increased blood pressure, they overreact and they say no, and then the parasympathetics turn all the way on, which more or less shuts off the sympathetic. So the trigeminal nerve is an excellent either addition to vagus nerve stimulation, or it could be used theoretically as a substitute for it. It's always better if you do both, you guys. So the trigeminal nerve, there's a bunch of different branches of the trigeminal nerve, you guys. Some of them are motor and sensory. Some of them, one of the branches is just sensory, right? So they're a little bit different, and who knows if that's actually correct, but that's what's been shown in the literature. More or less, if you want to think about per the literature, the most parasympathetic dominant branch of the trigeminal nerve is the mandibular branch, you guys, which is more or less just like the innervation of my fingers there. So this is obviously a great location to treat for TMD stuff, TMJ stuff, jaw problems, headaches, eye pain, any type of brain fog, anything like that, generalized autonomic nervous system regulation, neck pain. It's great for low back pain. It's good for incontinence. It's good for body-wide vasodilation, you guys. What we've shown in the literature is that the trigeminal nerve ganglion in the face, the trigeminal nerve ganglia, they have the highest capacity to produce CGRP, or calcitonin gene-related peptides. So CGRP, remember, is a really potent vasodilator in acute blasts, which is what is happening secondary to needling. When CGRP is chronically elevated, it stops being a vasodilator. It molecularly changes, or the function of it changes a little bit, and it becomes more of a pain amplifier and becomes a big problem causer. My favorite needle, and I'll show you guys some pictures of this in 1 second. My favorite place to needle, if I had to pick one place in the face to needle, is there's a little hole just in front of the TMJ. So if you follow your zygomatic arch back to the TMJ, fall underneath the zygomatic arch and just in front of the TMJ, it's that little divot there. It's not, don't go into the mouth, you guys. You don't want to go into the mouth. But it's that little hole back there. It's just in front of the TMJ. There's a great little nerve ganglion in there that's great to stimulate with electricity. You got your pterygoids. You have to go through both masseters to get the needle in there. And there's a muscle way back there that I'll show you guys a picture of in a second called the tensor veli palatini muscle, you guys. There's three tensor veli muscles. The tensor veli palatini is the only one that we can access, and that is the only muscle, you guys, that I know of at least. I think it's the only muscle that we can directly touch that attaches to the inner ear structures. So the one attachment of that muscle is the top of the soft palate, and the other attachment is over on the inner ear tube cartilage that drains into your throat. So that is the most direct muscle as far as like mechanics go that could cause tinnitus, which is a huge problem for people everywhere. So if that muscle's tight, it's going to be pulling on your inner ear tube. That's going to inflame your ear. It's going to cause all sorts of problems. So in general, trigeminal nerve, great place to needle for just regular nervous system regulation. So even if people don't have any pathology here, which is almost impossible to find somebody without pathology in their face there, still a good place to needle because of this ganglion here, you guys. So this is the otic ganglion of the trigeminal nerve. That's the closest chunk of trigeminal nerve, or the closest ganglion to the brain that we can stimulate as far as the trigeminal nerve goes. Acupuncture studies have looked at needling the suture lines and other places in the body, you guys, and although it's definitely not like a one-to-one correlation, there certainly seems to be at least an overall stronger positive homeostatic effect on the brain when you're needling closer to the brain itself. Now that's absolutely not like 100% true, because the feet have very strong effects in the brain and all this stuff. But per the fMRI studies, it does look like needling like on the suture lines of the skull has a more profound effect on the brain. And I've not seen this spoken about, but to me, it just makes sense, you guys. If we're trying to affect the brain, which we are, and that's how the way the needling is working, wouldn't being closer to the brain affect the brain more? That's not for sure true, but I think at least in a good percentage of cases, that is true. So whatever the reason is, the overall effect of needling the trigeminal nerve, very homeostatic on the autonomic nervous system. So there's the little otic ganglion, you guys. I'm not trying, but by the way, I'm not trying to needle that ganglion, and you never, I won't say never, but it's basically impossible to actually get a needle to like poke that nerve ganglion and just floating in open space in there. If you were going somehow directly at that ganglion, and I've been doing this for 10 years, you guys, I've never ever hit a nerve on somebody. If you were going right at that ganglion with the needle, they would be like, my like whole side of my face is on fire. I'm getting bad electrical blast in the side of my face. It would be really, really uncomfortable and obvious. So just for reference. If you miss this hole, you guys, it's not a safety thing. So there's no brain in that hole. You're up above your mouth and you're below your brain. So there's no brain in there. There is a possibility, you guys, if you had a little bit of mind-bending magical powers, if you took a needle this long, you could start in that hole and come out the other hole. People, it's not like an actual big safety deal. However, you definitely don't want to do that, obviously. It would be super uncomfortable. People would tell you, they'd be like, man, I'm feeling you like poking some muscle in like the center of my throat, one of your pharyngeal muscles. However, that's why I just use a 30 or a 40 millimeter needle through this hole. So I only use a 30 or 40 millimeter needle at the most. And if you want to get a general idea of how far over that tensor veli palatini muscle is, you guys, the bone that's right next to the TVP there, that is the sphenoid plate. So if you look at inside corner of the eye and just the outside of the face there, and you take that distance, that's more or less how far it is from the outside of the skin to the bony backdrop in there. You're not going to hit bone with all these ones, you guys. You may, if you hit bone, it's going to be the sphenoid bone probably, or like the under part of the zygomatic arch, or you may hit the angle of the mandible there. But whatever you're hitting, any of the structures that you're passing through just to be going towards that hole are good. So even if you miss the hole, you're still just getting both masseters, which is a great treatment. And then you get through the hole, you get both masseters, you can get all three pterygoids in that hole, you guys, and you can get the tensor veli palatini muscle, and you're getting stimulation on that trigeminal ganglion there, the otic ganglion, which is very, very helpful for autonomic nervous system homeostasis. Like vagus nerve is FDA approved for a bunch of stuff, including anxiety, depression, some strokes and stuff like that. Trigeminal nerve stimulation is also FDA approved for migraine treatment, you guys. So great for headaches. It's great for a bunch of different stuff. One of the things that the trigeminal cervical complex does, you guys, and that's one of the other autonomic nervous system pathways or axes or complexes, however you want to think about it. The trigeminal cervical complex is often spoken about in conjunction with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, and the gut-brain axis. So the trigeminal cervical complex is very, very important, and I'm going to show you guys a picture of it in a second. It connects a bunch of very, very important brain sections to each other, the periaqueductal gray, the locus ceruleus, and we'll talk about what those things do in a second. And they share connections. So the trigeminal cervical complex shares connections with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So they overlap, and you can't really have one negatively affected without the other. So that's why I think about treating these pathways in the autonomic nervous system itself so much, you guys, because if any one of these things are dysfunctional, just like how if you have any singular vitamin deficiency, that negatively affects your body's ability to utilize any of the other stuff that it has in sufficient concentrations, because that's how our body works. Nothing works like individually on its own in the body. So for example, if you don't have enough vitamin D, but you have enough of all other vitamins, right? All those other vitamins still aren't going to be doing as good of a job as they could for you because you're deficient in vitamin D. The same thing goes with these axes. If your HPA axis is okay, but your trigeminal cervical complex is off, neither one is going to be functioning well because they share parts of the brain that they use. So it's very, very interesting. We understand this stuff so poorly, you guys, but we're starting to gain a better understanding of it, and we do understand some basic tenets. So I think this is why one of the reasons dry needling is so cool is that it's not necessary for us to understand exactly how all the pathways are working. We know that dry needling has the overall effect on the nervous system of sympathetic depression and parasympathetic elevation, which just so happens to be the direction that we need to push the autonomic nervous system to achieve homeostasis. It leads to very, very awesome outcomes, and it's safe. So however you want to think about like exactly how it's working, and I do think this is true more or less the way that I think about it, you guys, but if all this shit that I'm saying is totally wrong, it still doesn't change the fact that it's safe and that it's super effective. It just may be working on a totally different way. That can't be said for like pharmaceutical drugs, you guys. If you don't understand the pathways on which they're working, it's very, very hard to make a safe and effective like foreign substance that you're putting in the human body. Dry needling is not putting any alien stuff into the body. It's just normalizing our own system and allowing us access to our own innate superpowers more so than we would have if we were living with chronic sympathetic hyperactivity, which 90% plus of the United States population is. Thanks for watching, you guys. To continue this video, make sure to keep an eye on my channel. There'll be many parts to this series. This is part of our online Dry Needling 1 course. We have 2 online dry needling courses. We have a live online dry needling course, and we have a bunch of in-person dry needling courses, all board certified and accredited. If you want a discount on our online dry needling courses, check out our school community. It's school.com/CEU, SKOOL.com/CEU. You can get a discount there on our online dry needling courses, on our online nutrition courses, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. I have weekly Zoom meetings there. We have a private community chat room. It's a really awesome community. Check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.